Hello everyone, welcome to this video on the concept Comprehension Passage discussion of Example 1. This is part of the paper Compulsory Foundation Course in English at Mangalore University for the stream 4th semester BCA, BSc, BA, BCom, BSW. This is part of the subject English Language. Welcome to today's discussion. In the last videos on comprehension passage, we discussed the theoretical aspect of the concept, that is, what is comprehension passage and how can we attend a question from comprehension passage. While discussing that, we went to some steps to answer the comprehension passage. The first step was to apply a skimming or a quick reading of the whole material for a general idea in order to get the gist of a passage. Then the second step was to go through the questions. Third step is to apply scanning to find answer to the questions by going through the passages selectively. Then the fourth step was to concentrate on each question, probably applying somewhat intensive reading and formulating our answer to each question. After locating the areas in which the question has the answer, we will discuss the answers related to that particular question by concentrating on only that particular question. These are the different steps we went to in the process of comprehension passage. The steps to answer questions come under that. Today let us take up one example passage, that how can we go for this. So usually the questions turn up like this with a common heading of read the following passage and answer the question set on it as directed. Let's go through the passage 1. See, here is a passage that is about a king. So let's make a quick silent reading of the passage. You can see here that it is about a king. He was very unhappy and the reason was simple. So it was a simple, what was the reason? He was growing bald, and then he had he had lost much of his hair. He was a vain man, was in gloom, and he was upset, wanted to find cure for his baldness. So usually a king can call a physician. So physician came there, and your majesty, I'm sorry, but there is no medicine. When he asked the physician for medicine, the person denied, and the king got angry. Therefore, you are fool, said the king, and threw him into prison. So what do you observe here? The idea that is presented in the story, the problem that the king has, is very much clear from the first two paragraphs. So now you located, or rather I can say quickly you observe the purpose or the theme of the story. Then you set your mind in the same direction. Your scattered observation or scattered mindset will now fix in one single direction as you approach and as you make a quick reading. Say if you just skip this process of quick reading and just directly jump into the questions, it is difficult for you to locate answers for the questions also. Therefore it is always a better thing to go through. Yeah, it is the thing, right? It is the best method to go through the passage quickly with a skimming. Yeah, let's go to next part. You can see in the next part the further development of the story. The king sent eminent physicians of the land and commanded them to find a magic medicine to make his hair grow. But they all do the same thing, because there is no medicine is possible. He was furious, therefore, and then he even put all the physicians arrested and announced that I'll give you exactly 1 month to find a remedy to my business. So likewise a warning was given from the king. Then the physicians naturally become terrified, and they did not find any solution. And one among them now, so you see, finally one among them, a wiser man, wiser among them, said, don't worry, we don't have to die. I have an idea that I'll cure the king's madness, if not his baldness. He said so, and everyone sighed with relief. It was a relief because he came up with some solution. Let's see next. So in the next process, exactly a month later, he came up with a solution. King summoned the physicians and demanded, well, have you found the remedy? the physicians stepped forward. The physician who planned earlier, right, who stepped forward. Yes, your majesty, I have, he said so. Bringing out a small bottle, he said, here is the new special hair oil guaranteed to cure baldness. You only need to apply it for 10 days. Observe, 10 days, a hair oil that can cure baldness. Apply for 10 days. Apply it half an hour before bathing, right? Then again, within 10 days. So it takes only 10 days, right? That is important. See, your observation should be on some key points and key words in the passage, right? You can see here 10 days is a key point, right? Luxuriant crop of jet black hair you will develop. Wonderful, exclaimed the king as he took the bottle. Then the physician added, just 1 minute, your majesty. There is some condition here that is introduced with the physician's word here. Just 1 minute, your majesty, he said. So what is that we have to focus? That is, he said, if you think of coconuts while applying this oil, it will not work. Please keep that in mind. This is the condition the physician put. And that's not a problem, said the king happily. That's how it ended. And when we come to the next paragraph, you see, the old physician was richly rewarded and all were freed. So the problem was solved, right? So early the next morning, the king was all set to apply the new oil, right? He took the bottle and opened it. Now he remembered that he was not supposed to think of coconuts while applying the oil. Each time he remembered that he was not supposed to think of coconut, right? That means each time he remembered coconut. Suddenly a picture of coconut tree bearing a big bunch of coconuts flashed in his mind's eye. Oh no, thought the king. However much he tried, he could not get the picture out of his mind. Finally, he put the bottle aside, saying, I'll start tomorrow. See, each time he went to apply the oil, he remembered coconut. That's the problem continued. So just to add something extra here, I remember one beautiful poem written in 1 or 2 lines. That is, forgetting something is like forgetting to switch off the light in the backyard. If you forget something, if you make a constant and conscious attempt to forget something, in each step you make an attempt to remember it. It is like the light in the backyard, which always tells us that you have let me on, switch off me, like that, right? So anyhow, move on to next paragraph. Thereafter, every single day when he took the bottle, he would remember something associated with the coconut, tender coconuts, coconut water, whatever it may be. So the image of coconut appeared in his mind. Therefore he couldn't apply the oil at all, right? So that is the problem continued. So the bottle stood on the shelf unused, couldn't use it. Finally, you see the end conclusion, that's important. Therefore finally the king decided that he had enough. He declared, I'll never use this oil. But then what is so bad about being bald? Bald is beautiful, he concluded so, and his madness or his that weakness in the mind got cured by that medicine. So that's how the story, it's a story which has a moral of intelligence works out. Anyhow, let's go to the comprehension part. You see the first question here, why was the king unhappy? Your skimming made you very clearly that the concept unhappy, the king was unhappy, was there in the very opening of the story. So you just go to you don't have to read the entire story once again. You just look at it from the first paragraph. See, long ago there lived a king who was very unhappy. The reason was simple, he was growing bald. So the reason is introduced here, right? You go to that very quickly and then you can answer locating it very easily, right? So when we come to the second question, whom did he summon to prescribe the medicine? So that is also there. When there is a problem introduced and he wanted solution, so he went to that somewhere. So you see in the same paragraph he had lost his hair, that is a problem. Therefore he called court physicians, right, and ordered them to prescribe medicine. So answer is available here, it's court physician, so that you can apply. Then the third one, dash, who stepped forward and said he had a cure, right? That is the next thing, who stepped forward. You see, when the problem was growing, in one paragraph where in the middle of the passage you have that answer, right? So all of them were put to prison, that you know. Step by step development of the story comes to your mind because of your skimming. And in the later stage, in the next paragraph, you have physicians demanded, have you found the remedy, right? And the king demanded, then the old physician stepped forward. See, one observation you can make here: who stepped forward is the question. The very phrase stepped forward is available here. So, therefore, even looking at the words in the question, you can locate the answer in the paragraph. That is another thing, because stepping forward is the incident or action that happens in that particular paragraph. So, we can answer this as it was the old physician who stepped forward. You don't have to write entire sentence, a single word, sometimes a phrase or a sentence. All the three can be okay depending upon the nature of question. Next, how many days the king was supposed to use? The next development of the story, it is in a very chronological, step by step series questions. So next development is to apply the oil or use the oil. That there is some condition that is there here itself in the same paragraph. You see, apply it for 10 days. You only need to apply it for 10 days. That you have to write here. So it is 10 days is the answer, right? Then when we move on to the next see, in the last slide you have 4 into 1, in the sense 1 mark 4 questions. That is the first part of your first section of your questions on comprehension passage. In the next section you will get 3 questions of 2 marks each. So here you see, when would the oil not work according to the old physician is there here. So for this, not work is also in the same paragraph, right? You can see here that he says applying it half an hour before, but then the physician added. This is the point where you have, if you think of coconuts while applying this oil, it will not work. Will not work is available here itself, right? So that you locate for the next question. So you say it is in that it is a long, it's a 2 sentence answer, a 2 marks question. If the king thought of the coconuts while applying oil, then the oil would not work according to the old physician. That is how you have to answer here. So then, why was the king unable to use the oil? That's the next question. He was not able to use the oil. That is a later development of the story. It's available in the next paragraph. You can go to directly next paragraph. The old physician was richly rewarded, right? That paragraph. There you see the king each time. So overall summary. So this is one tricky question. When you to answer this question, you observe here that there is no single sentence available here. Going through the overall paragraph, the idea here is that each time whenever he thought of applying the oil, he remembered coconut. That is the answer, right? So by going through the overall passage only, you can answer this question that each time, right? Each time the king wanted to apply the oil, he remembered various images related to coconut. So he was unable to use the oil. That's the answer. So then what did the king finally declare? See, I was reading, I focused on the word finally. That is a conclusion, right? So you can just see here, you don't have to read the entire passage again. What are you doing actually? It is scanning, locating the specific information. Finally is definitely available in the last paragraph of the passage. You don't have to go to the first paragraph. So you can just click, you can just go to that last paragraph. Finally, you can see here, right? Finally the king decided that he had enough. He declared, I'll never use this oil. But then what is so bad about being bald? Bald is beautiful. So this is the where he decided. So that is to be answered there, that the king finally declared that he would never use the oil. He also accepted the fact that bald is beautiful. That's how you can answer, by using skimming and scanning, and therefore a quick reading and locating information, going through the question. All these are useful tasks you can do in solving a comprehension passage question. So thus it's a skill that improves. It adds to, it's a reading skill, part of reading skill that improves our reading skill and vocabulary and language competence. And also in reading comprehension, we focus on understanding the word meaning and suggested meaning, the overall organization of the passage and the main ideas. It depends upon the nature of passage. So here in the passage we have completed. It's simple enough to go through only available information. What we say, there is a concept of Bloom's taxonomy, that is higher order thinking skills and lower order thinking skills. So their higher order thinking skills are applied for these one, right? That is suggested meaning, overall organization, ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ higher order thinking skill. Word meaning ಅನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು simple one, right? So with immense benefits, reading comprehension is definitely a very useful activity in language learning. So anyhow, with that I conclude this video. We'll come up with, I'll discuss another passage in the next video, so that we can see some more possibilities of answering comprehension passage. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.